Hello and welcome to IB Times TV. I'm Leanna Brinded, business editor for the International Business Times. Joining me now is one of the world's most prominent whistleblowing attorneys. His name's Ruben Gutman and he's a director at Grant and Eisenhofer. So hi, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
It would be great to start off with how different than how vital, I suppose, start off with how vital is whistleblowing in terms of rooting out financial scandals?
Well, to give you an example, we have the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States, which regulates our financial system. We have one examiner to every $12 billion in assets. So the government alone can't do it. And so whistleblowers play an important role in assisting the government enforce compliance with our laws. And it's been very, very successful. Last year, our government collected under a statute called the False Claims Act, which involves prosecution for fraud against the United States government, for prosecuted cases that it recovered $4 billion, right? And it's not only that we're recovering money for the United States government or allowing or helping the Securities and Exchange Commission recover money. Whistleblowers are lending transparency to wrongdoing. And many years ago, we had a justice for our Supreme Court, Justice Brandeis, who used to say that sunshine is the greatest disinfectant, and that's what whistleblowers do. They bring sunshine to wrongdoing and allow the revelation of fraud that affects many, many people.
Okay, and I mean, how has the environment for the whistleblower actually changed? Because now there's new programs or systems in the US that make it maybe a bit more favorable for people to come forward?
Absolutely. We have probably about 125 laws that directly protect whistleblowers and 3 prominent laws that actually pay bounties or rewards to whistleblowers when they bring forward information that allows for a successful prosecution and recovery of money. The most important of those, the most well-known, of course, is the amendments to the Dodd-Frank Act, which allow for bounties to be paid to whistleblowers who bring information to the Securities and Exchange Commission, and where the SEC actually recovers money from a company. And so whistleblowers can bring information involving bribery in foreign countries by companies traded on our exchanges. They can bring information about insider trading or more sort of arcane forms of securities fraud, including channel stuffing. Then we have the Federal False Claims Act, which is a statute that dates back to the administration of Abraham Lincoln, and it pays bounties to individuals who bring forward information that allows for the successful civil prosecution of wrongdoers who cheat the government out of money. And then, of course, our Internal Revenue system has a code provision which rewards whistleblowers who report information about tax fraud. And if you're sitting here in the UK, one of the things that could be of interest to you is that in any one of these statutes, with regard to any one of the statutes I mentioned, the statutes allow for citizens of other countries to actually collect money. So in one case, for example, I had a whistleblower who was a citizen of Germany who brought forward information to the United States government through our law firm, and that information that he brought forward allowed for the prosecution of a series of companies that fix the prices of shipping services sold to our Department of Defense. So these are statutes that are promulgated by our Congress in the United States, but they have a global impact. They are laws that transcend geographic boundaries.
Sure. I mean, in the UK, our regulators and lawmakers are looking to maybe follow the US's lead in terms of making the environment a bit, I suppose, more protective for the whistleblower. But why do you think there has been such a gulf in terms of why the UK is so behind in terms of this kind of protection?
Well, I don't know that it's behind. I mean, every country has obviously its own legal system, but the legal system obviously is in some respects a reflection of cultural norms. And when I talk to people in Europe, which is quite frequently, I was in Athens and Copenhagen and Amsterdam this week, the idea of paying a bounty really hasn't caught on. The idea of protecting folks who come forward and blow the whistle and work with prosecutors on either civil or criminal prosecutions, that's completely accepted. But the idea of paying money for it is something that really is unique to the United States. And I suspect as we have corporations that are larger than some countries, corporations that are whose arms transcend geographic boundaries, it's going to be very, very difficult for our regulators to keep regulators of the UK, regulators in the US, even in China, Shanghai Exchange, to keep on top of these corporations. And we've got to be very, very creative in terms of how we collect the information that will allow for the prosecution of wrongdoers, keep the markets honest, and protect consumers. And these are laws, whistleblower laws, not only are about finance, but they're also about consumer protection as well.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And that was Ruben Gutman. He's a director at Grant & Eisenhofer.